use the weapon. Now remember, in New Worlds, there are no classes in the game. Instead, you are what you equip, which means if you want to be a magician or a mage, you can equip a staff. If you want to be a warrior, you can equip a sword and shield or a great axe, which means you're going to be having some fun in those regards, and with regard to that aspect. So let's just get right into the game. My camp was abandoned because I logged off over a day ago, and I'm gonna need to go back to the nearest settlement, and which I will respawn. Give this a moment. Get through the loading screen. Once we arrive, you're going to see a bunch of different people, because this is a town. You're going to be taking a look at the FPS here in the game, and seeing how well the game runs with respect to the performance that I'm currently using here. The GTX 1080, as well as an i7 7700 CPU. I have about 30 FPS in town. Honestly, not super high, but there's a lot of people here. A lot of people. And there's a lot of things going on, so honestly, not terrible, considering that. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look right away. We have an achievement claim. Weapon Mastery. So, let's start with one-handed weapons. Let's start at the top left, Sword and Shield. This is the weapon that you start the game with. You're going to have access to the Sword Master, the Whirling Blade, deal 145% weapon damage to all foes within 2 meters, as going to be your first active ability of the category. Second active category, the second active ability in the category is going to be the Reverse Stab, which is exactly what it sounds like. And then the third one is going to be a Leaping Strike, which is exactly as it sounds like. And then we have some additional passives that we can unlock here that are going to be used concurrently with our active loadout. Successful heavy attacks grant you 30% empower for 5 seconds with the Empowered Stab. Achilles Heel, the final attack in your light attack chain, causes a 20% slow for 2 seconds. Precision, sword critical strike chance increased by 10%. Opportunity, Whirling Blade causes 5% rend for 10 seconds. Freeing Justice, successfully hitting with a heavy attack causes you to lose all debuffs. Unstoppable Stab. Now we can also modify our active abilities by giving them even more passive effects. Reverse Stab now has Grit, making the attack unstoppable. Tactician. On a successful hit with Reverse Stab, all sword cooldowns are reduced by 25%. Mobility. Move 33% faster while blocking. Opportunist. Deal 10% more damage to slowed foes. Confidence. While at full health, deal 15% more damage. Tactical Strike. Whirling Blade reduces cooldown on the ability by 10% for each enemy hit. Counter Attack. When you block an attack, gain 10% increased damage for 20 seconds. Critical Precision. On critical, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. Final Strike. If you hit a foe below 30% health, deal 50% more damage. Cowardly Punishment. If Leaping Strike hits a target in the back, pause slow for 8 seconds. And this is a passive. All of these trees do have an ultimate ability, which is kind of a passive ability here. Leadership. While holding a sword, all group members' damage is increased by 10%. Now the Defender tree of the Sword and Shield. We have Shield Rush. Rush forward 5 meters, knocking back foes and dealing 125% weapon damage. Sturdy Shield. Grant an additional 15% physical armor. Sturdy Grip. Stamina damage is reduced by 15% when blocking a melee attack with a shield. Oh, by the way, it should be said that when you are going down your trees, as you would expect, you need to put in at least 1 point in the previous tree to unlock the next tree, unlock the next level of the tree, rather. So I would need to put in 1 point here in the Sturdy Shield to unlock this next category here for the Shield Bash, for example, which is going to deal 50% weapon damage and stun foes in front of you for 2 seconds. And I can throw in some gems here later. This one is taunt gem compatible, and it's going to allow you to taunt. Elemental Resistance. Reduce damage from all magical types by 10%. Defensive Training. When you block an attack, gain 10% fortify for 5 seconds. High Grip. Stamina damage is reduced by 15% when blocking a ranged attack with a shield. Intimidating Bash. Shield Bash causes greatly increased threat typo, and 100% more damage. One with the shield. When you block with the shield, all shield skills recharge 1% faster. Improved rush. One successful hit, all enemies within 5 meters gain 10% weaken for 4 seconds. Defiant Stance. For 8 seconds, reduce the incoming base damage from attackers by 30%. Final Blow. The third attack in your light attack deals 15% more damage and causes more threat. Fortitude. While holding a sword, current and max health are increased by 10%. Final Countdown. Your health is above 50%. Damage reduction is increased by 20%. And spell check. Ooh, Concussive Bash. Shield Bash stun duration increased by 1 second. Intimidating Rush. On successful hits, all enemies within 5 meters of you are 30% slowed for 4 seconds. Recuperation. All incoming healing and regeneration increased by 10%. Restoration. Gain 50% of your max health when Defiant Stance ends. And Defensive Formation. While blocking, reduce damage to all allies within 2 meters by 30%. Now let's look at the Rapier. This one's a little more dexterous, one-handed weapon, one-handed sword. Tondo. Slash so quickly that it extends the reach of your blade. This strike deals direct damage but also applies a bleed that will deal 100% weapon damage over 12 seconds. This can stack up to 3 times refreshing previous applications. Refreshing Strikes. Reduce all cooldowns by 1% on any hit. And On Guard. Deal 10% more damage when your target has greater than 50% health. Flurry. Enter a posed stance and unleash a series of 5 quick thrust attacks with each strike, dealing more damage. Flurry can be dodge cancelled at any time. Unerring. Deal 5% more damage to targets with the Rapier Bleed. Flourish and Finish. Flourish performs an attack knocking back enemies. Pressing light attack at the end of the flourish will continue this ability by automatically performing Finish. Finish lunges forward, consuming all Rapier Bleeds on any target hit, dealing 110% of their damage immediately. Overwhelm. Each hit of Flurry does 25% more block damage. Thirst for Blood. When applying the first bleed stack to an opponent, this cooldown is reduced by 10%. With Flare. Gain grit on both Flourish and Finish. Light Edge. Increase damage from both middle swipe attacks in the light attack chain by 8%. Bleeding Strikes. Each hit of Flurry reduces the cooldown of this ability by 7%. And again, if you hit only one target, even on a blocked hit, this cooldown is reduced by 25%. Heavy Puncture. Any heavy attack on a bleeding enemy will extend their Rapier Bleeds by 2 seconds. This will also apply to feature stacked applications of the same bleed, extending the entire stack. Swagger. Plus 20 stamina when successfully hitting with a target with Finish. To the Bone. Each hit of Flurry extends the Rapier's bleed by 1 second. 1 second. This will also apply to feature stacked applications of the same bleed, extending the entire stack. Proper Spacing. Improve your direct damage from Tondo by 100% if you are 4 meters away from your target or more. Fuel. Each tick of damage from Tondo's bleed reduces the cooldown of this ability by 3.5%. Finalize. The last hit of Flurry will cause the enemy to stagger. And for the passive ability of this tree, Blood, is going to be Bloody End. Finish deals 150% of the Rapier's bleed damage, instead of only 110%. Now we move on to Grace. Desperation. Deal 10% more damage when your stamina is below 40%. Evade. Perform a small, reliable sidestep in your current movement direction that cancels any current activity and provides momentary invulnerability. Light attacks made during Evade are performed exceptionally fast. Controlled Breathing. Plus 3 stamina on any hit. Riposte. Enter into defensive stance for 1 second. If struck during this ability, counter the attacker, stunning them briefly for 1.5 seconds. You are briefly invulnerable upon a successful riposte. Breathe in. Gain 20 stamina immediately on use. Perfectionist. Deal 10% more damage when your health is full. Fletch. Leave the ground, lunging forward for 10 meters in a stabbing motion, piercing through enemies, dealing 145% damage. Insult to injury. If the repost is triggered successfully, all your attacks, not attacks, become uninterruptible for 3 seconds. Red Curtains. Critical Strike reduces all cooldowns by 5%. Allegro. Gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds on use. Quick Lunge. Killing with this ability reduces its cooldown by 80%. Priority. Reduce the cooldown of other rapier abilities by 20% when landing a repost stun. Adagio. Evading forward gains 15% increased damage on your next light attack. Ends on hit or after 1 second. Swiftness. Plus 3% haste for 4 seconds on any hit. Can stack up to 5 times. Backside. After performing Fletch, your next critical strike attack will have its damage increased by 15%. Lasts for 5 seconds. Lasting Consequence. Increase the stun from repost to 2 seconds. Crescendo. Individual successful light attacks reduce the cooldown of this ability by 30%. Interruption. Pressing light attack anytime during Fletch will stop and perform a static continuation attack dealing 115% damage. And Momentum. Gain 25% increased damage on your next light or heavy attack after performing an ability. Ends on hit or after 3 seconds. Finally, in the one-handed weapon sections, we have the Hatchet. The first of the tree is going to be Berserker. Enraged Strikes. If target is below 30% health, light and heavy attacks deal 20% more damage. Berserk. Triggers a Berserk mode that increases all attack damage by 20% while active. Berserk mode will be active for 15 seconds. Cooldown will trigger once Berserk ends. Accumulated Power. After 3 seconds, light attacks against the same target gain in power, granting a 30% damage increase for 3 seconds or until the next attack. Feral Rush. A sprinting melee attack that causes the player to leap forward, hitting twice. The first hit deals 115% damage, and the second deals 130% damage. On to Hunt. Increases movement speed by 20% while in Berserk mode. Relentless Fury. After a successful heavy attack, gain in power, granting a 30% damage increase for 3 seconds or after 4 attacks. Desperate Refresh. All cooldowns are reduced by 2% when hitting an enemy with an attack while your HP is below 30%. Dispatch. If target is below 30% health, Feral Rush deals 20% more damage. Against all odds. Increase base damage by 10% for every enemy within 5 meters of a player. Berserking Refresh. While Berserk is active, gain a portion of your health back every 5 seconds. Amount of health gained increased by how long Berserk is active. Raging Torrent. Perform 4 fast attacks, each dealing 90% weapon damage. Crippling Strikes. If Feral Rush hits a target in the back, it causes Root, immobilizing the target for 2 seconds. Berserking Purge. Triggering Berserk removes all crowd control effects, stuns, slows, and roots from the player. Fortifying Strikes. Hitting the same target with 3 light attacks grants Fortify, increasing damage absorption by 15% for 3 seconds. Aggressive Approach. Hitting a target with Raging Torrent grants Haste, increasing movement speed by 20% for 6 seconds. Frenzied Purge. When hitting an enemy while your health is below 30%, removes all bleed, burn, and poison damage over time effects from the player. Uninterruptible Berserk. While in Berserk, your attacks are uninterruptible, as you may suspect. During Berserk, you can't be staggered. Final Blow. Press light attack at the end of Raging Torrent to deal a final attack dealing 120% weapon damage. And the passive is going to be Defy Death. When you receive lethal damage, avoid death, reduce to 50 hit points, and gain immortality for 3 seconds. Then we have Throwing axes, basically. Rending Throw. Throw an axe, dealing 110% weapon damage, and apply your end, reducing target's damage absorption by 10% for 10 seconds. Aimed Throw. Replaces block with an aimed throw that deals 95% weapon damage. Hold right mouse button to enter aim stance. Each throw consumes 20 stamina. Critical Throw. Thrown axes are now capable of triggering headshot or random critical hit. Also increases critical hit chance of all attacks by 5%. Targeted impact. Rend increased to 15% if further than 8 meters from target. Social distancing. Throw an axe forward and dodge backwards, dealing 130% weapon damage and slowing targets by 15% for 3 seconds. On fire. Every third successful thrown axe is a guaranteed crit. Rejuvenating crits. Successful critical hits with light attacks or aim throws regenerate 10 stamina. Opportunistic. Rending throw deals an additional 20% damage if the target already has an active debuff. Refreshing throws. Thrown hatchets against targets with an active debuff reduces all cooldowns by 5%. Quick power. Player movement speed increased to 30% for 3 seconds if ability hits a target with an active debuff. Infected throw. Throw an axe that deals 150% weapon damage. It triggers disease and weakens target for 5 seconds. Stay back. Slow movement speeds effects increase to 25% for 4 seconds. Exploitation. All attacks deal 50% additional damage to targets with an active debuff. Mortal power. Increased duration of disease and weaken to 8 seconds on targets below 30% health. Second wind. Using rending throw on a target with an active debuff reduces ability cooldowns by 20%. Boon rally. Light attacks and aim throws regenerate 10 stamina when hitting targets with an active debuff. Adrenaline rush. Dodging within 2 seconds of triggering an ability consumes 25% less stamina. Aerial transmission. Creates a 3-meter disease AoE on impact that lingers in place for 3 seconds. And finally, persistent hindrance. Successful throwing axe hits extend all hatchet debuff durations by 30%. Moving on to the two-handed weapons, the spear. Zoner. Deadly consistency. Plus 10% damage on consecutive heavy attacks against a single target. Javelin. Throw your spear, dealing 125% weapon damage and staggering on hit. Deadly reach. Plus 10% critical chance on attacks against targets that are 3 or more meters away. Refreshing reach. Successful heavy attacks reduce all spear cooldowns by 15%. Forceful impact. Targets are knocked down on hit. Evasive maneuvers. Dodging backwards consumes 20% less stamina for 2 seconds after successful hits. Sweep. Sweep the target's legs, dealing 75% weapon damage and knocking them down. Cyclone. Spin attack that deals 110% weapon damage. Pushes targets back 3 meters and applies a 50% slow for 3 seconds. Invigorating crits. Restore 20 stamina on critical hits. Merciless strength. Plus 25% damage against knockdown targets. Tenacious sweep. Grid is now active during the attack. Invigorating combo. Restore 25 stamina per hit. Refreshing precision. Headshots reduce cooldown by 50%. Defensive stance. Gain fortify after successful heavy attacks, increasing damage absorption by 15% for 2 seconds. Coup de grace. Press basic attack during the sweep to follow up with a powerful downward stab that deals 125% weapon damage. Strong momentum. Grid is now active during the attack, making your attacks unstoppable. Strong conditioning. Plus 30% stamina regen when your stamina is below 50%. Deadly distance. Plus 2.5% damage per meter traveled up to 100% maximum. And the passive is going to be reserve strength. Plus 25% damage while stamina is full. And then we move on to the Impaler tree. Precise jabs. 5% additional critical chance on light attacks. Skewer. Rush forward and skewer your target, dealing 125% weapon damage. Applies bleed, which is a 10% weapon damage, every 1 second for 10 seconds. Refreshing jabs. All spear cooldowns are reduced by 10% on the second hit of the light attack chain. Perforate. 3 quick piercing strikes that each deal 70% weapon damage and apply rend, reducing the target's damage absorption by 5% for 10 seconds. Crippling jabs. The last hit of the light attack chain applies 30% slow for 3 seconds to targets below 30% health. Deadly ambush. Plus 20% damage against targets that have full health. Finishing blows. 15% damage against targets with less than 30% health. Unerring precision. Plus 20% damage against targets with active grid. Follow through. Gain in power and critical hits, increasing damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Bolt kicks. Use your spear to bolt forward and kick your target, dealing 75% damage. Apply stun for 1.5 seconds. Rupturing strikes. Rend increased to 10% per strike against targets above 50% health. Deep wound. Bleed duration increased to 15 seconds. Aggressive maneuvers. The first successful hit with an active ability, within 2 seconds of dodging reduces all spear cooldowns by 20%. Relentless blows. Gain in power after successful hits on targets below 50% health, increasing damage by 20% for 5 seconds. Impactful strikes. Target is staggered if you successfully land all 3 hits. Exacerbating crits. Critical hits extend the duration of your spear debuffs and damage over time effects by 20%. Exposed wounds, plus 15% critical chance against targets with bleed. Continuous motion. Cooldowns for other spear abilities are reduced by 30% on successful hit. Splitted weakness, plus 10% damage per debuff on target, 30% maximum. Alright, moving on to the Great Axe, which I like. Reaper. Reap. Extend your axe 5 meters, pulling foes to you and dealing 110% weapon damage. Creed. Light attacks with your Great Axe give you 5% damage for 5 seconds, maximum 3 stacks. Executioner Speed. Hitting 2 or more targets with a single Great Axe light attack swing grants 3 seconds of 20% haste. Charge. Charge 10 meters, dealing 120% weapon damage when you reach a target, or press left mouse button. Critical gains. When you make a critical hit with a Great Axe, heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. The Collector. Reap range is now 8 meters. Death's Embrace. Great Axe attacks against foes below 50% health. Penetrate armor by 10%. Frenzied Momentum. Charge now deals 120 to 140% weapon damage, based on how far you travel. Frustration. After one of your attacks is blocked, gain 15% damage for 10 seconds. 1 stack maximum. Execute. Powerful overhead attack, dealing 200% weapon damage. Deals 300% weapon damage for his foes under 50% health. Keen Edge. Critical damage increased by 10%. Hunger. Heal yourself for 30% of damage done by Reap. Critical Condition. Great Axe attacks against foes below 30% health. Critical 15% more often. Unstoppable Greed. Execute gains grit during the attack, making the attack unstoppable. Unpredictable Strike. During charge, you may press right mouse button to execute a swing attack, dealing 140 to 165% weapon damage, based on how far you travel. Feed. Great Axe attacks against foes below 30% health, heal you for 10% of the damage done. Fatal Attraction. After you pull, do a spin attack, dealing 115% weapon damage. Executioner. Execute critical hits 100% of the time versus foes below 30% health. And Bloodlust. You move 30% faster and deal 15% more damage when looking at a foe within 15 meters. Then we have the Mauler Tree. Mauler's Resolve. If you get hit while holding a Great Axe and below 50% health, gain 40 stamina. Maelstrom. Fast spinning attack that pulls targets closer to you and deals 110% weapon damage. Heavy Pull. Heavy attacks with a Great Axe pull foes closer to you. Whirlwind. Spin attack, dealing 50% weapon damage to all nearby foes. If you hit a foe, spin again. Spin to win. Max 4 spins. You can move while spinning. This cannot backstab. Storm's Reach. Extends the reach of Maelstrom's pull range by 50%. Enduring Strike. Adds grit to Great Axe heavy attacks, and grants a 20% damage reduction while the heavy attack grit is active. Gusting Winds. Whirlwind's maximum number of rotations is increased to 7. Gravity. After you cause a pull, your foe is held still 30% longer. Absorb. Consume all projectiles while Maelstrom is active. Gravity Well. Throw an axe to create a vortex that pulls foes to its center for 3 seconds. Ends with a damaging burst, dealing 125% weapon damage. Unending Winds. Whirlwind's movement speed increased by 50%. No Reprieve. Maelstrom does an extra spin attack, pulling in foes and dealing 110% weapon damage. Revenge. When you block an attack with a Great Axe, gain 5% damage for 5 seconds, 3 maximum stacks. Crowded Well. Increase burst damage by 10% for each foe caught in the vortex. Surrounded. If you have 3 or more foes around you, deal 30% more damage. Center of attention. While holding a great axe, gain 10% damage when 3 or more foes are within 4 meters. Crowded protection. While holding a great axe, gain 10% damage absorption when 3 or more foes are within 4 meters. Unyielding. Allies gain 20% fortify while standing in your well. Mauler's Fury. Great axe attacks increase damage by 3% for 3 seconds, maximum 10 stacks. And the last one, the two-handed weapon, is going to be the Warhammer. First tree is going to be Juggernaut. Armor Breaker. Powerful swing that penetrates 35% of the target's armor and deals 140% weapon damage. Epitome of Bonk. Epitome of Bonk, I guess. Not the epitome. Increased armor penetration by 10% for all Warhammer standard attacks. The Hammer Time ability. Gain in power at a heavy attack, increasing attack damage by 20% for 4 seconds. Indomitable. Add grit to the attack, making the attack unstoppable. Exhaustive attacks. All Warhammer abilities apply exhaust, slowing target's stamina regeneration by 15% for 5 seconds. The Mighty Gavel, an overhead leaping attack that crushes down on enemies, dealing 160% weapon damage. Hardened Steel adds grit to hammer heavy attacks, and grants a 20% damage reduction while the heavy attack grit is active. Lasting Trauma. Armor Breaker grants the target's rend, reducing damage absorption by 15% for 10 seconds. Summary Judgment. On targets under 30% hit points, increase damage done by Mighty Gavel by 20%. Contemption. On targets under 30% hit points, increase damage done by heavy attacks by 15%. Wrecking Ball. Strike the ground around a target with a hammer, dealing 120% weapon damage and flattening the enemy. Quick Recovery. Cooldowns are reduced by 7% with heavy attacks. Impact Fracture. Increased stamina damage done by Mighty Gavel attack by 25%. Safety Measures. On successful hits, player obtains Fortify, granting 20% damage resistance for 4 seconds. Opening Act. Increase Armor Breaker damage by 15% against targets with full health. Expedite. After a successful Mighty Gavel attack, gain Haste, increasing movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Power Through Pain. For 1 second after taking damage, deal 35% extra damage. Breathing Room. All targets within 1.5 meters of target hit are also flattened. Flatten everyone. Justice for All. Press basic attack during Mighty Gavel to add a second attack that deals 200% weapon damage. Alright, and Crowd Crusher. It's going to be outnumbered. Increase damage absorption by 10% if surrounded by 2 or more enemies within 3 meters of the player. Clear Out. A wide swing that knocks enemies back 4 meters to create distance deals 115% weapon damage. I can do this all day. Reduce stamina consumption by 30% when blocking melee attacks. Shockwave. Slam the hammer into the ground, causing a 3-meter radius AoE earthquake. It deals 80% weapon damage. Applies stun to all impacted targets for 2 seconds. Power Cleaner. Hitting a target with Clear Out grants Fortify, providing 10% defense bonus for 4 seconds to all friendlies within 6 meters. Guarded Sprint. Reduces damage taken by 10% while sprinting. Acceleration. Reduce Warhammer cooldowns by 7% when using light attacks against targets with an active debuff. Frailty. The trauma of the attack causes weaken, decreasing the damage dealt from the target's attacks by 10% for 10 seconds. Facilitated Expedition. After hitting a target with an active debuff, obtain haste, increasing movement speed by 15% for 3 seconds. Concussive Impact. Plus 15% damage against targets affected by Warhammer debuffs. Path of Destiny. A powerful ground strike that erupts a linear wave of energy in front of the player, dealing 110% weapon damage to all targets in his path. Meteoric Crater. Expands the effective range of the shockwave to a 4-meter radius. Clean and Refreshed. Clear Out's cooldown is reduced by 5% per enemy hit with the ability. Prevailing Spirit. Regain 35% of the damage dealt as health when using a Crowd Crusher ability. Seismic Waves. Path of Destiny now staggers all targets in this path. Resurgence. After 2 light attacks with the Warhammer, Debuff durations on player are reduced by 25%. Can only trigger once every 5 seconds. Swing away. Using clear out on a target grants haste, increasing movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Stimulated reduction. Ability cooldowns reduced by 5% for each enemy hit with Path of Destiny. And last we have Aftershock. Whenever a target is affected by a crowd control effect, they are slowed by 20% for 4 seconds. Massive crowd control debuffs all around. Moving on to the ranged weapons, we do have the bow and the musket. Let's take a look at the bow first. It's more versatile, it seems. We have the skirmisher here. The evade shot, leap back 5 meters, and shoot an arrow, dealing 125% weapon damage. Evasive tactics. After you dodge, deal 20% more damage for 5 seconds. Catch me if you can. If surrounded by 3 or more foes within 3 meters of you, gain 20% haste. Impale. If you hit a foe with 100% health, cause 10% slow for 2 seconds. Evasive knockback. Evade shot causes knockback of 2 meters. Closing in. Hitting a foe below 50% health reduces bow ability recharge by 5%. Rain of arrows. Shoot a barrage of arrows 7 meters wide that deals 150% weapon damage. Poison shot. Shoot a poison arrow that, on hit or land, creates a cloud of poison 3 meters wide to last 6 seconds. Foes entering the cloud are poisoned, dealing 10% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. Dodge and weave. After you dodge, gain 10% haste for 2 seconds. Hunter's Insight. Hitting a foe with a debuff grants 5 stamina. Barbed arrows. Rain of arrows causes bleed, dealing 85% weapon damage over 12 seconds, with a maximum of 3 stacks. Infected arrows. Poison shots. Poison now deals 12% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. Go the distance. Evade shot grants you 5 seconds of 15% haste. Archer's Speed. Gain 10% haste for 5 seconds when you swap to your bow. Direct hit. If you directly hit a target with poison shot, it deals 200% more damage. Mark. Deal 10% more damage to foes suffering from a debuff. Battle Precision. Debuff and damage over time durations last 20% longer. Hook arrows. Rain of arrows causes a 15% slow for 4 seconds. Finally, we have knee shot for the skirmisher tree. Leg shots cause 10% slow for 2 seconds. Interesting, it's a shot that literally wants you to shoot their legs. Hunter, you have long range. Deal 20% more damage to foes at least 10 meters away. Penetrating shot. Shoot an arrow dealing 150% weapon damage that passes through targets and continues for 100 meters. Aim true. Heavy attacks arrows fly faster and deal 30% more damage. Finishing shot. If your target is below 50% health, deal 20% more damage. Blood-soaked arrow. Increase damage by 10% after each hit. Maximum of 50% damage. Unbreakable focus. Receive 20% less damage while aiming. Splinter shot. Shoot an arrow out 10 meters if it then splits into 3 arrows, dealing 50% weapon damage. That's definitely 2 sentences in one. Rapid shot. Shoot 3 consecutive arrows. The first 2 dealing 100% weapon damage each. The last shot causes a knockback and deals 125% weapon damage. Deep Strike. Penetrating shot deals 20% more damage to targets 20 meters or more away. Opening Strike. Heavy attacks deal 20% damage to foes with 100% health. Additional 20% damage. Scatter Shot. Splinter Shot splits into 5 arrows. Rapid Accuracy. If all 3 arrows consecutively hit the same target, Rapid Shot's cooldown is reduced by 50%. Surprise Attack. If you haven't damaged a foe in the last 10 seconds, deal 20% extra damage. Arrow Range. Increase arrow distance before start of gravity by 100%. The Final Blow. Third shot of Rapid Shot deals 25%. Hawkeye. When you land a headshot, heal yourself for 10% of damage done. Bullseye. Bow shot criticals chance increased by 10%. Calculated. Reduce cooldown shot per hit by 10%. Last, we have concussion. When you land a headshot, you deal 20% more damage and a 50% chance to get your arrow back. Gotta get those arrows back. For the musketry, we have Sharpshooter and Trapper. Sharpshooter here is going to be looking at critical reload. Landing 3 headshots with 5 seconds of each other grants an instant reload. Pretty cool. Power Shot. Overload musket with gunpowder, causing the next shot to deal 150% weapon damage. Does not stack or combine with other overload shots. Forward Shot. Increase musket damage by 5% if aimed down sight for more than 3 seconds. Powder Burn. Overload the musket with gunpowder, causing the next shot to deal 110% weapon damage and cause a burn status effect that deals 20% weapon damage per second for 9 seconds. Does not stack or combine with overload. Greater accuracy. Accuracy penalty while hip firing is removed. Initial engagement. When you hit with power shot, gain in power, causing attacks to deal an additional 10% damage for 5 seconds. Empowering headshot. Unsuccessful headshot, grant empower, increasing all musket shots by 10% for 5 seconds. Backdraft. Standard musket shots deal 12% additional damage while target is on fire. Ballistic advantage. Removes damage fall off from standard musket shots on targets more than 50 meters away. First Blood. Plus 10% additional damage to targets with full health. Shooter stance. Players enter a shooting aim stance to enhance shooting performance. Shots deal 100% weapon damage. While in stance, mobility is reduced to 0, and reload time is reduced by 75%. Mode will exit after 3 shots. Chronic Trauma. If powder burn is a headshot, extend burn duration to 13 seconds. Bullseye. Power shot headshots. Reduce power shots cooldown by 15%. Forward shot resupply. Standard attack headshots reduce all musket ability cooldowns by 10%. Shoot more. Shots fired before exiting stance increase to 5. Hit your mark. Increased headshot and critical hit damage to target the further the target is away from the player, for a maximum of 15% at up to 100 meters away. Does not forego damage fall off. Heightened precision. While aiming, successful hits with a musket grant a stackable 2.5% damage increase. This effect extends when players stops aiming down sight or more than 5 seconds passes between the shots. Maximum of 6 stacks. Marksman. If 3 consecutive shots hit the same target, reduce all other musket cooldowns by 25%. Finally, for the tree, we have Sniper. Adds an optional 3x zoom view for all musket aim shots. Use the mouse wheel up and down to zoom in and out while aiming. Also grants a 15% damage increase to all headshots. Trapper. Salt on the wounds. Plus 10% increased damage to targets below 30% health. Traps. Throw a trap that lasts for 20 seconds. When triggered, it causes target to be rooted, immobilizing the target for 3 seconds. Back it up. Walking strafing movement speed increased by 10% when an enemy is within 8 meters of a player. Stopping power. Overload musket with gunpowder, causing the next shot to deal 120% weapon damage, staggering the target and knocking them back 3 meters. Does not stack or combine with overload shots. Weakened defense. Increase the stamina damage from standard shots dealt to enemies blocking with shields by 50, and deal 10% of armor penetration to targets that aren't blocking with a shield. Trap damage. Traps apply rend to target, increasing damage to trap targets by 20% for 3 seconds. Empowering weakness. Hitting a target with an active debuff triggers empower, increasing players' damage to be increased by 5% for 5 seconds. Lasting impression. Targets hit with stopping power are exhausted, reducing stamina regeneration speed by 10% for 8 seconds. Hustle. After a dodge, gain haste, increasing movement speed by 10% for 3 seconds. Sticky Bomb. A bomb that can be thrown at short range and sticks to anything it makes contact with. Detonation will occur 3 seconds after impact, dealing 175% weapon damage to all targets within 3 minutes. Energy Burst. Attacking a target with an active debuff restores 5 stamina. Scent of Blood. Regenerate 100% of weapon damage done as health when dealing damage to trap targets. Tactical reload. Dodging reloads the musket. Once per 6 seconds. Unflinching lock. Sticky bomb grants player 40 stamina when it deals damage with an explosion. Supplementary repulsion. Targets hit with stopping power are slowed by 10% for 8 seconds. Double trap. Ability to have 2 active traps. Kick them when they're down. Deal 10% extra damage to targets with an active crowd control status effect. Slow, root, or stun. Sticky slow. Direct hits with a sticky bomb cause the target to be slowed by 15% for 3 seconds. Lethal combo. Increase musket damage by 20% against targets affected by trap or tree status effects. Wonderful. Then we move on to the magic. We have the Fire Staff, the Life Staff, and the Ice Gauntlet. For the Fire Staff, we have Fire Mage and Pyromancer. Pillar of Fire. A targeted spell that deals 134% weapon damage. Very specific. Spell Focus. Heavy attacks restore 5% of maximum mana on hit. Fiery Restoration. Heavy attacks reduce Fire Staff cooldowns by 10% on hit. First Strike. Pillar of Fire deals 40% more damage to foes at full health. Meteor Shower. Channel a spell that rains down meteors, dealing 34% weapon damage on initial impact, and an additional 20% weapon damage per second while target remains in the AoE. Clear Mind. While above 50% mana, you gain 10% in power. Arson's Advantage. Gain 10% of your maximum mana per enemy hit by Pillar of Fire. Immolation. The initial hit of Meteor Shower gives you 1% of your maximum mana for each target hit. Singe. When you get a critical hit with the Fire Staff, cause burning, dealing 3% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. Fireball. Fire off a heavy fireball that deals 140% weapon damage on impact, and leave a 3-meter burning field that lasts 6 seconds. The burning field deals 10% weapon damage each second. Spell Sling. Your abilities gain an extra 15% chance to critical strike. Fiery Determination. Adds grit while casting Meteor Shower. Clear Casting. If you haven't taken damage in the last 3 seconds, deal 10% more damage. Scorched Earth. Fireball's burning field persists for 9 seconds. Prophet of a Fire God. While holding a Fire Staff, your critical strike damage is increased by 20%. Same. Flare. Heavy attacks no longer consume mana. Judgment of Helios. All hits after the initial impact now deal 25% weapon damage. Catch. Direct hits with Fireball give you 10% of your maximum mana, and hit reduces your Fire Staff cooldowns by 7%. Runes of Helios. Casting a fire spell places a 2-meter rune on the ground, increasing your spell damage by 30%. While standing in the room. Lasts for 7 seconds. Pyromancer Tree, we have Pyromania. While holding a Fire Staff and below 50% maximum health, damage is increased by 20%. Flamethrower. Create a jet of flame from the tip of the staff, dealing 34% weapon damage each second. Each hit catches enemies on fire, dealing 3% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. Incinerate. Cause a fiery explosion, dealing 130% weapon damage, and pushes it back all enemies 3 meters. Catches enemies on fire, dealing 3% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. Heat Up. When you block a melee attack, restore 5% of your maximum mana. Fire's Reach. Increase the range of the flamethrower by 50%. Let it burn. Whenever burn deals damage, gain 10% fortify for 2 seconds. Scorched. Each hit of Incinerate causes an additional stack of burning. Kindle. Burning lasts 20% longer. Infernal Flames. Increases the base damage of Flamethrower by 25%. Burnout. Dash through targets dealing 129% weapon damage on hit. Passing through a target will catch the target on fire, applying a burn that deals 10% weapon damage each second for 8 seconds. Cauterize Wounds. Restore 20% of the Incinerate damage dealt as health. Pyrodancer. Flamethrower has no cooldown. Watch it burn. Light attacks cause the enemy to catch fire, dealing 3% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. All in. Fire Staff cooldowns are reduced by 5% for each foe hit by burnout. Flameout. Incinerate hits twice. Trial by fire. When you are struck, create a field of fire around you, dealing 5% weapon damage to all nearby enemies in a 4-meter radius. Activates when struck in battle and lasts for 10 seconds. Combat speed. When you activate a Fire Staff ability, gain 10% haste for 5 seconds. Heat it up. Burnout goes 50% further. Reheat. After 6 seconds without activating a Fire Staff ability, your mana regen is increased by 400%. Moving on to the Life Staff, which I also have been playing around with. Pretty fun. Divine Embrace. Heal target for 150% weapon damage. Absolved. Life Staff. Light and heavy attacks no longer take mana. Privilege. Divine Embrace costs 20 mana. Sacred Ground. Create an area underground that lasts for 15 seconds and heals 20% weapon damage every second. Mending Touch. Life Staff. Heavy attacks now removes 1 debuff when passing through an ally. Blissful Touch. Light attacks now heal the target for 20% weapon damage while passing through an ally. Desperate Speed. When you heal an ally with less than 50% health, Life Staff's abilities cooldowns are reduced by 10%. Holy Ground. Generate stamina and mana 100% faster while in Sacred Ground. Revitalize. When you hit with a light attack, reduce all your cooldowns by 5%. Splash of Light. You and all your group members within 100 meters are healed for 50% weapon damage. Shared Struggle. If target is below 50% health, heal one additional ally within 8 meters for the same amount. Blessed. While allies are in Sacred Ground, they are healed for 50% more from all healing. Enchanted Justice. When hit in battle, activate a healing aura for you and your nearby friends in a 4-meter radius. Healing for 10% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. Shared Recovery. If you heal a target below 50% health, gain 3% of your maximum mana. Rebound. If second target is below 50% health, heal another ally within 8 meters of that ally. Sacred Protection. While holding a Life Staff, increase the base health of all friendlies in your group by 10%. Intensify. Heavy attacks give you increased healing by 10% for 10 seconds. Maximum of 3 stacks. Purify. Splash of Light also removes 1 debuff. Divine Blessing. When you heal an ally if their health is below 50%, heal for 30% more. Then the Protector Tree. Orb of Protection. Shoot out a light projectile that grants 15% Fortify for 20 seconds. Heals an ally for 10% of weapon damage, and deals 146% weapon damage when it hits an enemy. Bend Light. After a dodge, your heals are 20% more effective for 5 seconds. Defensive Light. When you block a melee attack, gain 5% maximum mana. Protector's Blessing. If Orb of Projection hits an ally, they gain recovery for 10 seconds. Protector's Touch. Life Staff's light and heavy grant 15% Fortify for 3 seconds when hitting an enemy. Beacon. Shoot out a light projectile that deals 146 weapon damage to enemies. Attaches to its target and heals all nearby allies for 20% weapon damage each second for 10 seconds. Shared Protection. If you successfully heal an ally with Orb of Protection, you also gain Fortify and Recovery. Protector's Strength. If you have a buff, heal for 10% more. Light's Embrace. Targeted heal for 100% weapon damage, plus 30% more for each buff on that target. Infused Light. Beacon's area is now 50% larger. Aegis. When this projectile hits, it affects all allies within a 3-meter radius. Inspire. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, target receives 25 stamina. Balance. When you get hit while below 50% health, gain 10% haste for 5 seconds. Radiance's Blessing. Beacon lasts 5 seconds long. Spirits United. Increase mana regeneration for you and group members by 3%. Connection. When you heal a target with Light's Embrace, gain 1% of your maximum mana for each buff your target has. Glowing Focus. Buffs you grant last 20% longer. Speed of Light. When Beacon heals a target, it also applies 20% haste for 3 seconds. Finally, we have Magnify. When you heal with Light's Embrace, extend life staff buffs by 2 seconds. And last we have the Ice Gauntlet for the Magic Tree. Ice Tempest, Cold Reach, increase damage of light and heavy attacks by 15% for targets farther than 15 meters. Ice Spikes, create a trail of spikes that start from the player and go out in a straight line for 8 meters, dealing 56% weapon damage. The path ends with a Mighty Spike that will deal 157% weapon damage and apply pushback. Pressing left mouse button before reaching the end of the path will spawn the Mighty Spike early. Critical Rejuvenation. Recover 15 mana after triggering a critical hit on the target. Energize Critical. Increase critical damage of ice spells by 15% when at full stamina. Refreshing Spikes. Cooldown for this ability decreased by 10% if enemy is hit by Major Spike. Ice Storm. A ranged attack to deal 17% weapon damage every 0.25 seconds and slows enemies within a 5-meter radius frosted area. 25% slow, 20-meter range, and 5-second duration. Wind Chill. A player aimable attack that blasts a column of freezing winds that push back enemies 5 meters while dealing 16% weapon damage each hit. Wind Chill has a total range of 7 meters, with the farthest 2 meters increasing damage 20% without pushing enemies. Player is able to move during the attack. Empowered Spikes. Mighty Spike damage increased by 20% when hitting an enemy below 30% health. Gathering Storm. Hit with 3 consecutive light attacks to grant 15 mana. Weakening Gust. Incoming damage is increased by 10% for 3 seconds to enemies in Ice Storm if below 50% health. Enduring Chill. Increase duration of Wind Chill by 1 second. The Deadly Path increases damage by 10% and adds Stagger to the Path of Spikes. Does not increase Mighty Spike damage. Critical Frost. Increase critical chance of hitting an enemy in a frosted area or with Frostbite by 20%. Storm Summoner. Ice Storm mana cost is decreased by 80% at full mana. Chilling Blast. Increase the damage of the last 2 meters of the Wind Chill range by 25%. Heavy Freeze. Heavy attacks with freeze a target if hit in Ice Storm, or with Frostbite for 1 second. Spiky Reach. Ice Shards fire from the sides of the Mighty Spike to hit a wider area. Each shard will have a 6-meter range and deal 118% weapon damage. Punishing Storm increases damage by 10% for each enemy in Ice Storm. Finally, we have Ultimate Chill. Ice abilities chill targets, increasing ice damage by 35% for 3 seconds. We have the Builder Tree, blocking stamina. Blocking with the Ice Gauntlet will convert mana to stamina on hit, 3 mana for 15 stamina. Ice Pylon. A placed ice pylon that fires ice projectiles, dealing 50% weapon damage at enemies within a 20-meter range for 15 seconds or until killed. Ice Pylon creates a 1-meter radius frost area that enables frost powers. Quick Frost. Increase speed by 10% in a frosted area. Ice Shower. Summons a shower of ice that creates a frosted area approximately 1 meter by 5 meters. Enemies that enter the ice shower will be stricken with a powerful Frostbite. Frostbite roots for 1 second, blocks sprinting and dodging, slows speed by 50%, and will remain on target for 3 seconds after exiting the ice shower. Ice Shower has a lifetime of 4 seconds. The Greater Pylon. Increases damage of Ice Pylon by 10% for slow targets. Empowered Frost. Regain 3 mana for each spell cast while in a frosted area. Enduring Shower. Increase Ice Shower duration to 7 seconds. Frozen Touch. Slows enemies by 25% for 2 seconds when they hit you with a melee attack while you have 100% health. Pylon Regen. Ice Pylon regenerates to full health 5 seconds after last damage taken. Entombed. Player can entomb themselves in ice to become invulnerable and greatly increase mana regen. The Ice Tomb has a lifetime of 10 seconds and can be destroyed. Players have 2 options to cancel Entomb. Exit by pressing right mouse button, or break out of the Ice Tomb by pressing left mouse button, causing a damaging knockback for 20 mana. Quick Shower. Any ally, including self, will get a 25% speed boost for 2 seconds when entering the ice shower. Pylon Dodge. Dodging with full stamina increases Ice Pylon rate of fire for 3 seconds. Refreshing Frost. Reduce all active cooldowns for ice abilities by 20% when casting an ability in a frosted area. Strength Entombed. Increases defense by 25% for 3 seconds after breaking out of Entombed. Frigid Showers. Frostbite applies rend to target, reducing defense by 10%. Defiant Freeze. Casting an ice ability, creates an ice-hardened layer, granting 20% fortify for 2 seconds. Pylon Refresh. A successful hit extends Ice Pylon's lifetime by 1 second. Cleansing Tomb. Cleanse all debuffs when being entombed. Finally, for the Builder Tree, we have Ultimate Frost. Doubles Ice Pylon's health and extends Ice Pylon Frost radius to 5 meters. Standing in this area, doubles Quick Frost and Empowered Frost bonuses. Well, let me know which weapons that you enjoy or what you would like to try down below in the comment section. And don't forget, we do have some extra beta keys to give away. So please let me know. I'll also try to secure some more beta keys from the developers.